you will see this trip, and you can download the brochure and work on it, read it in detail at your own convenience. In a short while, I will share my screen and start going over the itinerary. Of course, I won't be covering everything, all those details that you're going to see if you join the trip, but the highlights, the main locations and sites that we're going to see on this trip, I will try to cover and give a general information about this part, the southern part of India. So let me share my screen first. And actually, yep, here it comes. Yeah, I believe you see my screen at the moment. The cover page of our brochure, Southern India, Chennai to Cochin, from February 17th to March 2nd, 14 days and 12 nights program. This is also the cover of our brochure if you download that. Now, this is the general map of India, the Indian subcontinent. It is a huge country with a population of more than 1 billion people. And traveling India, most of the time, the popular part is the northern part of India. It's just flying into Delhi and then Jaipur, Delhi here, and Jaipur, Udaipur, and all these areas to the south and west of basically like Rajasthan area is more popular. Everybody knows about Taj Mahal and all those famous cities of northern India. So this is, just when we talk about India, most of the time people have this part of India in mind, maybe down to Mumbai, but nothing south. Now, southern India has a quite different culture, quite different history. Of course, at some points, just there are commonalities in the history of North and South. But as we go south, the area that we are going to cover will be this area, the southern tip, southeastern tip, starting in Chennai, going down towards the tip. We won't exactly go to the tip, though, but in Kerala region. So we will cover basically, as I'm sure you know, India is made up of various states, as United States is. So we will cover basically two states of Tamil Nadu here and Kerala. So this will be the basic idea. Now, if we basic area that we're going to cover, if we just zoom into the map and see the area, Chennai up northeast here, our starting point, and end point is down southwest. Kochi. Now, the names, first of all, there are, of course, the Indian names. There are anglicized names of locations, and there are historic names. So there are, a bunch of different names most of the time for the same location, same place. So we will go with the anglicized names, but on maps, and if you search, you will find, just the same locations under various names. But they are the same locations. So our tour will start in Chennai. We will fly into Chennai. And so speaking about names, its former name, it was known as Madras. And this is the capital city of the Indian state of Tamil Nadu. And this is the cradle of the civilization of southern India. That is called the Dravidian culture. Now we know about Indo-Europeans up north, the history that connects that part of the world to Roman and Greek, ancient Roman and Greek cultures. Now to the south, this Dravidian culture, this goes back all the way back to 4th millennia, and it is quite different in origins. The language, the culture, the ethnicity is different from the northern Indo-European languages. So that is the start of our trip. Now, this Chennai here, this is a view of the city. As I mentioned, formerly it's known as Madras. This is the capital city of the the state of Tamil Nadu. And it's a city of about 7 million people. What we see in the first, look is a modern city with high rises, a combination of a mixture of modern and traditional at some point. But it goes all the way back. The modern city actually goes back to the Portuguese, who arrived there at 1522. Then Dutch settled there in 1612. Then British East India Company took over in 1639. And it is the fourth largest metropole in India. But this is not the only, the modern part is not the only part on this side of the city that we see in first view. We will start with visiting Fort St. George in the historic part. In middle of 17th century, it was built not in this shape, but as a quite different building at the time, as a fortified settlement. Now here we see this is a historic picture of that from that period, and here is another from the British times. It is on the coast, and we will be seeing also visiting the coastline, as it is very well known in the region and very popular. So we will visit this the fort of St. George by the Sea, and the coastline, as I mentioned here, if we see today's view of the coastline, the Marina Beach, which is about 3.7 miles long, that is very popular among the locals, and just will walk along the beach coastline a bit and mingle with the local people. And there are all these food vendors and music and families enjoying their day. So we are going to spend some time on the beach, just tasting and smelling the local life. Now, one other place that we're going to see is Vivekananda House. Now, this Vivekananda House we see here, which was built in 1842. Now, the interesting history about this is its connection to United States. It was originally built in 1842 as an ice house by a Frederick Tudor, Ice King of Boston, Tudor Ice Company. And he was the main merchant, main businessman who supplied ice, not only in northeast part of the United States, but exporting ice from Boston all the way to here, Madras at the time. I mean, that is unbelievable. All those ice blocks from the lakes of Massachusetts just being transported to this location and stored in here, and then sold to people. This part of the world having the tropical, of course, climate, having ice was quite difficult. But of course, just with the development of ice making technology, it just couldn't survive as an ice house. It was converted into a residential use. And what about today's use of Vivekananda House? Now, this gentleman here, Swami Vivekananda, he is a philosopher, a thinker, and he is the founder of Vedanta Society. Now, he also visited United States in 1893. He was in Chicago in a Parliament of Religions. And over there, he just gave speeches about his philosophy, his way of thought based on ancient Vedas, ancient holy scriptures of Indian culture, Hindu culture. So based on that, he established Vedanta societies, first in California, then in various other parts in New York. And today, actually, well, just a couple of days ago, actually, I was in Providence, Rhode Island, just walking, and there it was, a Vedanta Society house, still continuing, still alive, just promoting and making people know about this philosophy of ancient Vedas. as an interfaith society. So here in this Vivekananda house, we will see a kind of 3 and 4-dimensional show exposition of this gentleman's philosophy, and that will give us idea about the philosophy of this ancient culture still going on today. So it is really a very interesting place to visit today. Now we are in Chennai, and of course in Chennai we will start visiting the famous temples of the south. They are quite different from the temples in the north, which are more sometimes lower, sometimes the sculptures, the colors, the architecture is quite different. Now, what we see here is Kapali Swarar Temple, originally established in or built in 8th century, but the current version from the beginning of 17th century. What we see here, this high rise, is actually the entrance gate, which is called Gopuram. This particular one is 120 feet high, and it is, as you see, just ornamented with all these colorful sculptures about data life, about gods and goddesses. Well, Hindu pantheon, as I'm sure you know, has thousands of gods and goddesses, deities, all different kinds. So different stories from the Vedas, from Mahabharata, from other Hindu epics are visualized here on this entrance gate for people to see, enjoy, and learn. So we will also, this will be our first temple to visit in this trip, and there will be many more to come with all different details, different architectural styles. Now, the next morning we will start with an early morning. This is kind of an optional, walk from our hotel. The flower market. That is a very interesting and vivacious part of the city, the flower market. Just we will see the flower vendors, of course, flowers. Where do they go? They adorn the temples. They adorn, the presents as presents to the temples. So we will see all these colorful flowers, learn about them, learn about the culture surrounding all this flower market or flower bazaar. From Chennai, well, we'll spend about 2 days here, 2 nights. Now we will have a short excursion to Mahabalipuram, visiting Kanchipuram on the way. Now, Kanchipuram is a temple town, and it's a small temple town, but it has, well, very interesting and famous 2 temples. It is one of the 7 sacred cities of Hindus, and it is still a pilgrimage site. So we will start. Now, this is one of the view from one of the temples, and we will start with the Ekambareswarar temple, the temple which is dedicated to the 2 gods of Shiva and Vishnu. Now, of course, we will learn about the deities, but the first, the 3 main deities, the Holy Trinity, if I may say, of Hinduism is Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu. So most of the temples are dedicated to them or other deities related to them. So this particular temple is for Shiva and Vishnu, again with the entrance gate. And the second temple is Kailasanathar temple, with sculptures and reliefs. And here we see the view from inside with all these reliefs and sculptures. And so we will learn about all these deities and visit the temple complex. And of course, the interesting part, just learning about the intricacies, the details of the sculptures, the stories connected to them, and how, for example, the movements are related to or visualized in the dances, in the classical dances of this area. At the end of, or towards the end of our trip, we will see classical dances, classical dance performances. And there, just our guides and other experts will explain to us the relationship between, or the origins of those dances, how they are inspired from the stories of the various deities and the visualization of these sculptures. Now, this Kanchipuram is not only famous and important for its temples, but also for its silk production of silk fabrics. So we will visit a silk workshop and learn about how these silk fabrics are produced. And of course, the fabrics that they, these are the various, fabrics to be turned into saris. Now, this is one of the main differences between northern part of India and southern part of India. In north, the traditional, of course, people still, just wear saris, women, but mostly shalwar kameez, the two-part, the shalwar is the loose pants, and the kameez is the upper jacket part, right? But in south, as we go south, saris are much more common, and in daily life, not only for ceremonial dress, but in daily life, women, of course, wear saris. So we learn about this culture and how these saris are made and fitted, and just see how expensive they can be. So another interesting point, combining saris and silk fabrics and temples, are these fabrics are produced in the workshops, and then they are dedicated to the temples, brought to the temples, blessed over there before being sold, for example. That's another tradition that we are going to learn about. Now, our drive will end up in Mahabalipuram. And here we see the main structure that we're going to visit in Mahabalipuram, the Shore Temple. This is built for for Vishnu, and we will, here is another side from this temple. As we see, this doesn't have those colorful little sculptures. This is more simple in colors, more natural in colors, but still with intricate ornaments that we're going to see in detail. What I would suggest for those of you who plan to come, just bring binoculars with you. I mean, it is really helpful to have binoculars to see all those details high up there on top of these structures. Excuse me. And also, again, in Mahabalipuram, we will see Panch Rathas, five temple chariots. Now, there are temple chariots that are used during actual festivals, but these are five temple chariots for procession that are carved, carved into local rocks. Monolithic rock cuts, shrine complexes, and depicting again stories from the epic Mahabharata. So our visit in Mahabalipuram, and here we see again just one of those temple chariots carved into the rock. And we will drive back to Chennai, and we will fly from Chennai down south to Tanjore. Here it says Tanjore. Again, as I mentioned, Tanjore is the today's Indian name. Tanjore is the more anglicized name. We'll take an early morning flight. Now, another difference that I need to mention between northern India and south is, of course, the climate. North is more, just has a land climate, more, it has winters, especially if you go, up north to the mountains. As we go south, it is more tropical. Certain parts of the year, it is rainy, totally humid and wet, and certain parts are relatively drier. Just if you could just turn off your sound, please. Just we're hearing the background sound, if you could. Thanks. And so I was talking about the climate in the south. It's more tropical, more humid. Well, in February, fortunately, we chose the best time of the year to go there for this part of India, which is the relatively drier and relatively cooler part of the year. So it will be relatively more comfortable, but still a little bit hot. But for those of you who are in Houston, I don't think it'll be that much of a problem in February. So we will fly to Trichy, actually, and then drive to Tanjore. And now in Tanjore, there are a few more temples that, well, on the way, actually. Surangam Island, this is a 2-mile-long island. And just if you just remember the map going south, it is kind of a small peninsula, the tip of the Indian subcontinent. On the east side is the Indian Ocean. On the west side is the Arabian Sea. And we are still on the east side, facing kind of the Indian Ocean. And this Surangam Island connected to, what is that? The mainland. We will visit one of the big temples here, and the important point here is we will see the rituals by the river. So again, another chance to see the local life and mingling with the people and learning about the life around the temple. When we reach Tanjore, our visits will include Maratha Royal Palace, and this is from the period of two different dynasties, the Nayaka dynasty from 16th and 17th centuries, and Maratha dynasty that came after them, the middle of 17th century all the way to mid or towards the end of 19th centuries. So we will visit this palace with beautiful interior designs and learn about the story of the palace and stories of the people, the dynasty who occupied this palace. After the palace, another interesting part of Tanjore that we're going to visit will be the art gallery with the collection of sculptures and bronze statues from Chola period. This Chola period is an earlier dynasty from 9th to 18th century, and they are famous for all these bronze statues and various rock-carved sculptures of various deities of the period. So we will visit this impressive collection, see the details, and from Tanjore, we will drive to Madurai, visiting Chettinadu on the way. Now, the history of the area as we go south, actually, and as we just the other interesting and different stuff will come out. This is of course, a an area where trade is together with agriculture and together on the trade route, especially the spice route. So historically, it was an important trade center. And these Chettinadu on the way, this is distinguished by their old merchants' houses. We will see these large ornate mansions of Tamil Nadu's wealthy merchant community. Now, of course, some of them are neglected and just left, and some of them undergoing repairs and renovations. So we will learn about the life of the merchant families in this area, and see where possible some of the houses. And the other interesting part of Chettinadu is its old market with its shops of antiques and various interesting ethnic artifacts that I'm sure most of you will find interesting. And also we'll visit a pottery workshop and learn about the pottery technique in the region. And the final place that we are going to visit will be the Chettinadu Palace, which is quite, new when compared to all the other sites that we have seen so far, built in 1912, and we'll learn about the history of Chettinadu Palace, and then drive to Madurai for overnight and for our visits for the next day. Now in Madurai, the temple complex, well, you may say, well, now another temple. Well, just they all have different stories and different things to tell us about, which our guides over there will, of course, point to and point out. This is Meenakshi Temple. It's a huge temple complex dedicated to Shiva. And just at the beginning, actually, I guess I started talking about the Trinity, in Hinduism. Brahma, the top god, the creator, and there is Vishnu, the second god, the god of protecting life-giving deity, and Vishnu and Shiva, the god of partly destruction and also fertility. So here, this temple, it is dedicated to Shiva on the one hand, and here we see the main hall and detail from one of the sculptures. This depicts the marriage of Shiva on the right-hand side with Meenakshi in the middle, the fish-eyed goddess, the meaning of the name, witnessed by Vishnu on the left-hand side. So a temple was also dedicated to Meenakshi, where the temple gets its name. So we will learn about their stories and their relations, and of course the implications of all these to today in today's cultural life of Indian people who visit all these temples. These temples, of course, we visit them as to learn about them, but they are quite alive in daily life of the Indian people. They visit these temples, of course, and this is central in their cultural and religious life. So it is a good place also to see and mingle with local people, local families, visiting these temples. Now, we are in Madurai after the temple visits. There's another palace that we're going to visit, Thirumalai Nayaka Palace from 1636. This is one of the big halls from outside and the courtyard, as we see here. The architecture has some Italian fusion with the Rajput styles. So we will visit and learn about this palace. And the final place we're going to visit will be the Gandhi Memorial Museum, learning about this important person, the life of this important person in Indian independence and recent history. The structure of the building itself is a palace, actually, from 1670. So the museum in itself, the artifacts about the life of Gandhi, important, and the building itself is a historic one that we'll also enjoy visiting. So spending time in Madurai, our next stop will be from Madurai. Well, the name is not visible here, but this area, THEKKADY or Periyar. THEKKADY, now from Tamil Nadu, we're just going into Kerala region, state of Kerala. And now Kerala is one of the more liberal states of India, and it's has the highest literacy rate in India. Most of the time, it has either left or centrist parties in power, and many of its people work in Middle East, and they send remittances, they send money home. So that adds to the prosperity of the region. So we will learn about this region and its importance in the economy of the region, of course, and of the country, and historic importance in the spice trade in the world. So this is a view of Moscow. Of course, there are all these spice farms and tea gardens and spice plantations, and so the first place on the way we are going to visit will be a spice plantation, and we will just learn about the cultivation of various spices. We'll learn about and see cardamom, for example. Do we know what it looks like, or before it comes to our kitchen in little boxes? Vanilla, nutmeg, cloves, curry leaf, pepper, ginger, turmeric. Just we will see what they look like, how they are cultivated, harvested, and prepared for our consumption. Now, having spices here, of course, as I mentioned before, this is the main route of the spice trade, from here to the coast, and from coast all the way to Middle East, to today's Anatolia, to west to Europe. Spice was traded since ancient times. So ancient Greeks and Romans, they knew about all this trade, and all the spices came through this route. Now, in this area, the one other attraction is just we will see a Kalaripayattu show. Kalaripayattu, this is a martial art for the ancient battlefield. So we will see a show of this example of Southern Indian martial arts with the use of swords and sticks. That'll be an interesting show to see in this area. Now, from THEKKADY, Periyar, we will drive to Kumarakom, and it's known for its backwaters with its huge Vembanad Lake and Kumarakom Bird Sanctuary. So we will have a lunch on one of these houseboats. That's the main, as you see here, these houseboats are important in the life and economy of the area. So we will learn about them and just we'll have a late lunch cruise on the Vembanad Lake through the backwaters of Kerala. And so we will also visit possibly just, villages on the way and see the daily life the rural life in the area. Another interesting area that we are going to visit will be the rubber plantations. Now, this is what we see here, these rubber trees. Of course, before synthetic rubber was invented, rubber was, the main source of rubber was the trees, right? It's like I can say, what is that? Maple syrup, right? Just you cut the surface of the body of the tree. And let me just try to go to the next slide here. Yeah, this person here, that's what he's doing. And the natural rubber just oozes out, and you collect it, and that is used for, just for what rubber is used for. And still, rubber is produced, natural rubber is produced this way in this area. And in this area, actually, 90% of Indian natural rubber is, should I say, produced or cultivated, collected. So it's an important economic activity in the region. And we are going to see this, rubber plantation and learn about the rubber trees and its economic significance in the area. Now, from here, Kumarakom, we'll drive to our final destination, Kochi or Cochin, and Kerala's most cosmopolitan city. And it's the main center, main city for spice trade and for seafood. So all those spices that were, cultivated, produced in those plantations, they were being, still actually brought to Kochi or Cochin for exports. So we will, here we see, this is an overview of the city, and the city's port, which was important throughout ages for the Indian spice trade for centuries. So in Cochin, this is Fort Cochin. That is a combination of, from Dutch period, and then taken over by Portuguese, and then British. So it just, builds on one on top of the other. We will learn about this Fort Cochin and of course, pepper exchange. I mean, there really is a pepper exchange here. And we will learn about that and learn about the pepper trade and spice trade, and visit St. Francis Church, which was the original burial site of the Portuguese explorer Vasco da Gama. So he was, interred here. And we will also visit the Paradesi synagogue. So as you see, there is a mixture of cultures here. That is another difference from the north, where north is more dominant with Hindu culture, be it Muslim from the period of the Mughal empires coming from north, or the original Hindu culture up north. As you go down south here, it is the Jewish, the Christianity, the Dravidians, the Tamils, different languages and different ethnic groups. They're all here, and that makes the southern India much more interesting and worthy of a visit. And this is Dutch Palace, again, from the Dutch period, and Chinese fishing nets. As we see, just all different, from different cultural influences. And our final activity will be those classical dances that I previously mentioned, the Kathakali dances. And this is again, if you have been to northern India and if you have seen the dances up north, the folk dances, this is quite different from those, and this is a classical dance genre, and it's developed in courts and theaters of Hindu regions. So it is, just we will see, let's go to the next, slides. Tells the stories from Hindu epics with classical music, Indian music. So we will learn about this different type of Kathakali dances and enjoy the show. And that will be our final activity in Kochi, and then we'll fly home from Kochi or Cochin. Now, of course, just food is an important part. Indian food, as you are during our travels, we will have an opportunity to taste various examples of Southern Indian cuisine. The difference with North is just South is more tropical. It has more, variety of spices. To the North, it is more, heavy sauces, and South is more. For example, coconut is produced in the South, cultivated in the South. So coconut milk is widely used. And here, this is another example. The previous one was sadhya, which is served on banana leaves on special occasions. We had an opportunity to taste that. And of course, seafood and chicken and red meat and various spicy sources of local spices. So one thing I need to say though is, at times it can be really spicy. So just we need to be prepared for that. But it is definitely tasty, and especially if there are vegetarians among you, it's a paradise for vegetarian food. Really delicious food we are going to sample during this 14-day, 12-night trip. And this is another example. To the right is dosa, some pancake wrapped around certain fillings of different vegetables, and it is quite delicious. So this is our trip to southern India, and let me just stop sharing my screen. Did I manage to do that? I guess I did. So it will be an extremely interesting trip. And although I know this is just a summary of what you are going to see and experience on this trip. There are always, different parts of daily life that happens around us during the trip, which makes the trip much more interesting and much more lively. So during the tour, our local guide just takes us to various little interesting local spots that during the, at the time of the year, it may have certain significance, and there may be certain activities, festivities, as there happen almost all the time in these temples. So our trip, although the main sites and main activities are scheduled and everything, we are going to see and visit these, there will be quite many other locations and activities that are not and cannot be pre-planned, but they just happen along the way, and we all enjoy those. So this is our trip, and if you have any questions.
Elias, I just want to mention to you one thing.
Yes.
Kerala, 2-3 weeks ago, the Time magazine US edition published the 50 best places to visit in the world, and Kerala is one among them.
Definitely. Definitely, I would
It's
agree.
about three or four issues back.
Hmm. I will check. I haven't seen that, but yeah, just I will definitely check that, and just I would totally agree with the just with that.
I can email you that thing.
Oh, thank you. I would appreciate that, and I can share it with everybody.
Thank you.
Anybody has any questions for Ilias now?
Any
is the time
questions, comments?
to ask those. In the Zoom link, I sent the current itinerary as well as the application, and the information is also up on the website. So the trip is coming up in February 17th. So applications for that are going to be due pretty soon, with us closing out about 2 to 3 months in advance of the trip. So if this is something that you're interested in, definitely reach out to me, reach out to Ilias, and we can get things rolling on that.
The suggested flights are on Emirates. They give the best connection flying into Chennai and coming out of Cochin. And so if you want, that gives you the opportunity to have a stopover in Dubai if you would like to on the way going there or coming back. So that is another point to keep in mind.
And as always, Ilias is available if you want to do something before the group meeting or after, since you are in India, if you have, dreams of visiting Northern India at the same time.
Oh, definitely.
So that's
definitely. It's possible to have an extension, yes, to Mumbai, to North.
Yes, if you were to tie Mumbai into the itinerary on your personal itinerary, it'd probably be best to do that on the end of the trip, right?
Definitely, I would recommend to do it on the end.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And like the flights within India, or if you want to be a little more adventurous, what about the rail?
Rail from Kochi to Mumbai, it would be quite long. I wouldn't suggest that. Just flights would be the way to go. Yeah.
How many hours are there from train?
How many hours by train, Ilias? Probably, roughly.
Off the top of my head now, I won't be able to say anything, to be honest. But
At least 2 days.
At least 2 days, right? Yeah. That is quite a distance. I mean, we are talking about a continent. It's not, it's like United States, going from east side to west side.
What is the name of the city?
And what about Ilias? I know you don't have a lot of ideas. I know at this time how many, what the side tours will be, but one of the things we've enjoyed on the prior trips was, maybe going to a home of a local family and having dinner and that kind of stuff. Is there opportunity for that on this trip?
That is just, we will try to arrange and just incorporate something like that into our trip. Those details, I don't give those details from the start, because depending on the size of the group, depending on the conditions, the location may change, the structure of that visit may change. So as we see how the group develops, we will definitely incorporate those little things into the itinerary.
And the local guide that you will probably use is somebody well that you've used before.
Oh, definitely, yes. So very knowledgeable, very nice person, and it'll be a delight to be with this guy.
And the hotels, I assume, will all be.
Oh, hotels are very nice.
They're very nice.
I would say they are very nice.
I went through them all.
5-star hotel. Week. Yeah.
It was hard choosing which hotels, because Ilias gave me quite a few to choose from, and they all were very, very nice. Very
nice. Their locations are nice. In some of them are in tropical settings. Some of them are in the city, but still with local ambience. And so I'm sure you'll enjoy the hotels.
Yeah, we've always been impressed with the hotels you've had. That's always been a treat.
Yeah, same here.
Yes, they were all very nice. Sandia, many of you know Sandia. I know that she has been on this trip in the past, and she enjoyed it very much. And I believe I remember Ilias and I had a meeting with Sandia recently, and she was talking about the dances that he mentioned at the end, and she said that was one of her favorite parts, was the dance exhibition.
The dancers, yeah.
So, anybody have any more questions? Well, if not, I guess we will just.
I lived there for 3 years, and it was Madras then. Now it's Chennai. I approve of what you've done, Elias. It's a great trip.
Well,
It really is, and you're doing some things. I never went to one of the spice farm. I never did.
Oh,
So
well,
hey,
maybe this time.
well,
join us, Nancy.
yeah. It is tempting because it was a very, very good 3 years. It really was. And so everybody go. It's worth it.
And just on a side
Thanks,
note,
Nancy.
the larger the group, the more the possibility of us getting those exclusive access type activities, definitely for the visits to the embassies and that sort of thing. Sorry, the cat is in here again. So the
Elias, are you
tell all
planning
your
to go on
friends.
this trip?
I'm sorry.
I was asking if Elias is going on the trip.
Most probably no, I won't. But again, I would love to, and if not, just we will see first. And the tour will be a very nice one nonetheless, whether I am on the trip or not. I would really want to be, but so you'll enjoy the trip in any case.
Yes.
Good.
So, well, it's coming up on 8 o'clock, everyone. So if there's no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and say good night. Hope that you all enjoy your evening. Ilias, I know that you're an hour ahead of us there, so have a good night. I'm always
Thank you
available
very
by
much.
phone or by email. I've spoken with most of you on the phone or by email before, so if you have any questions, just let us know.
I have one question. Elias, is there any way that we can have the detail that you explained today, the places that we are going to see?
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you well, Patricia.
Pardon?
Could you repeat that, please?
Okay. Is there a possibility that you can email us the places that we are going to visit in each city?
I sent
Yeah, it is in the itinerary. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have the itinerary, but not like the way you were explaining. I mean, not the
Detail.
the detail. So the monuments and everything. The name of the monument.
I can send you a list. You just know the names as a list, so you can.
I was checking now, and I would like to
Sure.
research about those history and everything.
Definitely. That's a very good idea. Sure, I'll do that.
If you go to AAA, you can get a lot of information.
That's what
AAA.
I'm going to.
So if Ilias sends that to me, I will forward it on to anybody that requests it. So everyone just let me know. And if we'll just go ahead and say good night.